Hey guys, welcome to Introduction to Coding. We'll just wait a minute for everyone to join. So, first of all, hey guys, hey guys. So in this Hey guys, welcome back to EJS London. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be doing a introduction to coding. So we're going to do HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Yeah, basically, we'll do a bit of both, but first of all, we'll do the HTML. So if we go to w3schools.com, this is what I like to use for my HTML coding. So if you head over to the try editor, this is our basic sort of structure of a HTML document. So it contains the doc type, which tells the browser there's HTML, and the HTML, which shows where the HTML will start from. So from within here, we can write any HTML code we want. And then we have the head and the body, and then the closing HTML tag. So, first of all, the doc type is declared like that, or can be declared like this. So, all in capitals. And we only have one of those, and no closing tag. Unlike with the HTML, you can see we have a closing tag, so we put a / just before it. And if we hit run, you can see it's just a blank page. But what we can do is we can write within here, hello world. And you can see how it now shows hello world. Now, you could do this on your website, any HTML website sort of thing, but I'm just doing a try editor here, just so I can have a split view sort of thing, and just see my changes as they come through. So, First of all, let's get to the head. Within the head is any content that needs to be loaded before the rest of the page. So that could include styling of the page, scripts of the page, and then this title bit here. So if you look on up here, on the web browser, the tab, that is the title. So it won't make a difference there if you do web page. It won't make a difference because it's in a embedded view. But if you did that on your web hosting, for example, then that will be what appears up there. If you don't have anything, then it will just show the website URL. So just say https w3schools.com / and then the path to the file. So in here we can do any styling, which we'll get to in a minute because that's all CSS. And we can also do some scripting, which is JavaScript. So first of all, in the body is all our content. So like I did earlier, you can write hello world and it will display. You can write hello in here or whatever content you want in here, but that will load before the body content. So that will load before the body. And if you wanted to, you could also have a foot, or you could have any sort of tag. So if you're doing the footer of a website, you could have footer and do it like that, and then put your content in here. And when we hit run, it will show it exactly as the HTML content. It will still render it as HTML, but it will appear within a separate tag area. So similar to the tags are divs, which we'll get to in a minute, and they're sort of groups of HTML. So if we do div and div, we can still put any content we want within here, and it will display it as normal, render as HTML, but it will come through within this group. So when we get to using the CSS styling in a minute, which adds all the lovely colours and the styling, then we'll find divs handy because we can put loads of content within a group, loads of different content here, and we can then control what colour it is separate to the rest of the page. And that is very important when it comes to HTML styling, otherwise you've got to use loads of classes for every element. Now, although we can just write text here, hello world, that's not exactly how you should be producing it. So there's different tags, like the body, that you can put text in, and that way you can style it and it comes through. The browser knows it's text more than you just type in text. It's rendered as text as well. So that's really important. And so I've seen someone's asked for a shout out. So a shout out to Thing and a Half, apparently. That's what their name is. A shout out to Thing and a Half. Hopefully he's listening right now. Are they listening? Hey, can you... Yeah, okay. Can you guys all hear the live stream yet? Correct, yeah? I'm going to take that as a yes. Yeah, okay, we can hear the live stream. Cool. Okay, so now once we've done... So we can produce this as text here. Now, if you want to do a heading, so we can do H1, and that will be the biggest heading. And that will be rendered as a heading, like so. And you can see here that this is taken, so this is the biggest heading you can do, and you can also do smaller headings, so we can do H2, H3, H4, H5, H6, and we'll close all those off. H2, H3, H4, and H5. Okay, so within each of those, we can write again the same text, hello world, and it will still be echoed as text. I say echoed because when we come to learning the language PHP, which is more complicated, we use the term echoed. So you can see how it goes from really big here to really small. Now, these last three, heading 4, heading 5, and heading 6, are not used as much. So these are the less common. And normally you just do heading 1, heading 2, and heading 3. However, you can use heading 4, 5, and 6. And notice if we did write heading 7, which doesn't exist, it will just be rendered as regular HTML text. Now you can see how it's different sizes, which is one of the reasons why you've got a heading, but also it appears bold and it is classed as a heading, it's rendered as a heading rather than regular paragraph text. Now the reason why it still rendered it as text on the heading 7 is because if I was to write, for example, a command that's not recognized, so if I was to write, if I do foot again like I did earlier, I do hello, it will render the text foot. So let's just get rid of the paragraph text. You can see how it still comes through here. Now, that's basically the equivalent to using a div, and you can still, so like I said earlier with divs, so we could do a div here for all the comment headings, and then do a div for the less common headings. So you might be wondering what this green thing here is. This is a comment, so basically you may have seen when we hit run, it hasn't put across the text that's here. It hasn't put less common headings, it hasn't rendered that. And the reason why is because it's a comment. So when you're writing lots of code, it can get very complicated to even understand your own code. And therefore, using these comments, which can be written with arrow, exclamation mark, like that, and then whatever text you want here, and then like that to close it, that will mean that that bit, whatever's in here, is not being produced out, and it's just a helpful way to, help you remember things. So if you do like this, then I can do headings. That's just helped me to remember that those are headings. And you can't see it, the people can't see it, they're viewing the website. It's just for you to see when you're coding it and adding extra functionality. So, what is the point in us putting these divs here then? Well, let's come to CSS in a minute. Another thing is with divs, we want to add certain stuff to it, such as ID, which will be an ID to represent the div, a class, which will come to in a minute with CSS, and we can do many more things such as style itself without using a class, CSS, and you could do, it depends what it is, but if you were doing if you did in H1, you can also do all of these. And there might be other things you can do, like name, although that would mainly come to when you do inputs. So for a form rather than for a div. But all I'll do is I'll do the class, which we'll come to in a minute. I'll do top headings. Now, when doing coding, a lot of most common things to do is to do camel case, which is where the first letter is lowercase and the second letter is uppercase. And that's because if you use space, this would be two separate classes. I just got a message come through on the chat. Okay. So with this basically. Okay, so someone doesn't understand. What part don't you understand? The div classes, because what I was saying is having a space between it and putting separate classes. Let me know. Wait, I think there might be a bit of a delay in this live stream. Let's have a little look. I think there's a slight delay in the live stream. A class. Okay, so basically what a class is, so if we're doing CSS, which is basically just, what does it mean? Okay, so if we're doing CSS, which is the background color, the color of the text, where it is on the page, all the styling of the website, everything that makes the website look nice to the user. Then what we'd be doing is, like with the ID, it's like giving it a unique identity. So if you've got a div here, then you're basically giving an identification to that div. So when you go to CSS later to apply styles to it, so if you look here for CSS body, that's what's representing the body bit. And then putting all the code properties to go with the identification of body, which is the body, will then be, so that will then, do you get what I mean now? So the class is what identifies the object for CSS styling. Does that make sense? I think that's a yes. I think I looked at that. Just wait a minute. I think there's a slight delay. So just waiting one more minute just to see if I can get a response on this. Yeah, thing and a half. Kinda. Okay, cool. I will touch on class again when we do CSS just in a minute. I just want to finish off with the basics of HTML before we dive into some CSS. So what I was saying is, Linda. Okay, I think that's a typo. What I was saying is with classes and anything coding related, really, we use what's called camel case, which is where, like here, you have a word. So if we're putting two words together, because if we put space, it will represent this as two separate classes. So you seeing the correct? Oh, there's a delay on the stream. It's fine. Alright, so okay, so basically with camel case, we basically do one word. So if you do a space, that will put it as two separate classes, and you can have multiple classes, but we don't want to do that. We want it to be the class top headings. So to do this, we can do top, lowercase, and then headings with a capital H. So that sort of symbolizes that it's two separate words. You could just do top headings, but to make it clear for us to understand, just like with adding comments, you don't have to add them, but to make it clearer for us to understand, we could do it in camel case. So now we've done that, we can have a look at what we could do with some basic CSS. And you might be thinking, oh, there's some things I don't understand here with HTML. How do I do this? How do I do that? I'm going to come back to that. This is the first episode in this series. I'm going to do a whole coding series here, where we go from the basics of HTML all the way through to learning how to build, real life applications with, PHP, MySQL, all these languages that you hear developers talking about. I'm going to teach you how to use them. So what we'll do is, if we have a look at this CSS. So I told you that you can put CSS in the head. I told you could put CSS in the head, and basically if we just put it here, we can just do style and the closing tag, style. And now the reason why we represent it with style, so all CSS goes within here. So HTML now renders this as CSS rather than HTML. So if we do, which is our class here, top headings, so if we do dot top headings, and then we do open curly bracket, closing curly bracket, and we can put all our CSS in here. So we can do a comment, and in comments with CSS it's slightly different. You can do it like this, I think. Do that this? Yeah. Sliding. Sorry, I've just been doing a lot of PHP lately, so it's been a bit confusing to go back to some CSS and that. A lot of PHP and Java, so just getting my mind back into this. So styling for first three headers, and now we just do that and that. and that's now the comment complete. Should be. Oh no, sorry, like that. There you go. So you'll know because it'll be green if it's still in the comment, and then if I put it like this, for example, then that's still green. It no longer applies once it leaves the style because that's not a valid comment in HTML. Comments are represented like that. However, if you had a style here, your color, red, it wouldn't do anything because this comment hasn't been closed. But if you fix it like that, you can see it now goes red and it makes them red. So what we need to change, however, so if we do that like so, and you don't necessarily put a dot in front of the class. Now, a few things, make sure you don't get confused with this, because I always do. The fact that you put a dot before the class, but if you want to style the whole body, so if you want to set, like, if we style this div, for example, this div doesn't have a class. No, that's not the best example because we've got a div class there. But what I'm saying is if we did a separate bit, so if we did like I said earlier, you can do this perfectly fine. It will render as HTML. Won't be valid to give a line break, so normal elements will give a line break. This won't have except for when it gets there. So if you just did hello, it wouldn't necessarily do a line break. But it's the end of a div. Oh, we have a message. Can my dad get a shout out? Okay, shout out to Thing and a Half's dad, whoever. Oh, I think is it Dom that's there, or is that James? Okay, so no worries, someone has got to leave. What I'm just gonna say, are you still on the stream now? Just quickly. Dom, yeah, okay, so shout out to Dom and Dom's dad, and you can see this in another live stream if you want to, or I'll keep on doing it, so another time when this can be joined on, but you can join anyway, anytime. Okay, so we'll continue with this live stream. So what we'll do now is within here, the top heading styling, we can do color and do whatever color we want. Now notice how this is the American version of writing color. So I'm in England here, so I would type color like that. But that's not recognized by CSS. So you have to get used to the fact that whenever you're saying color in CSS, you are doing it COLOR. And then whatever color you want here. Now there's a whole list of CSS colors. So if we go to Google and type in CSS colors, click on the first thing, W3 Schools, because like I said, we use W3 Schools, and you see all these different colors with a name you can represent them as. So we can represent them as the name antique white, and we can write. If we want to do aqua, for example, we'll make this text aqua. We can type aqua, and it recognizes it and makes it aqua. Or, if you would like to, you can copy the hex code instead, which is, and you paste it, and it still does the exact same thing. So, going from just regular colours such as blue, red, light blue, all those colours, you can go to custom hex codes and any other CSS names. So, there's loads here, you can just keep on scrolling, there's loads, there's absolutely loads. And then if that's not enough, just search colour picker. Pick what colour you like. It can be anything. Copy the hex code. Paste it there. You got it there. Or if you would like to do, and you can do it in red, green, blue, RGB format, which I'll show you how to do in a minute. Most common way I like to do is just doing the simple hex code. Okay, so let's get rid of that for a minute. Go back to black. Okay, so if you want to do the background color, we're going to do background dash color. And remember, color spelled American. And if we do background color, I'll do my favorite green. I like that color. run, you can see how it shows it only behind here, only around this area, and that's because it's only doing it for this div. So if we move this div down, we close the div, we'll make that green. So if we wanted to make the whole page background green, instead of doing a div for the whole page, what we can do is we can do a body. We can style the body. Now, here we actually just do body, and then we write it. And now the reason why is when you're doing a tag name, so body, foot, div, head, all of that, when you're doing that, you can just write it normally. And when you're doing a class, you always put a dot in front of it. So I do body, background, color, and I'm just going to do a different color. Background color, hashtag 2D69FF. You see it makes the whole area, except from this area here, because this area already has a CSS property separately for that. So what I'm going to do is if I move that up there, down there, just so we can see it in the order that it comes from. Now, if you would like it so that if the body is blue, basically it overrides any other classes with separate divs or areas, any of that. All you need to do is do exclamation mark important. It will, hopefully. You don't have to do it before the semicolon. So what you can do is you can do semicolon, exclamation mark important. And for some reason, let me just check. Exclamation mark important. So what will work, which I can check I'm playing it right, sorry about this. Like I said, hasn't been used in a while by me, CSS. Mainly been using Bootstrap lately. Okay, so not always is it working at this time. But anyway, if you did style separately, so if we did, like I said, you can do style within that. So if we do body, style, and then we can do background color, hashtag 2D69FF, exclamation mark important, should place it before semicolon. Okay, so basically what I'm saying is you can get rid of that. You can do whatever you want here and make that will affect the whole thing. Like so, okay? So you can do also styling here. So what I go to next, if we do color, and this will change the actual font color, we do red. Font's now red. If we do it for the whole body, which we can do here, makes all of it red. And yeah, we can do other things when it comes to CSS positioning, which I find CSS positioning a bit annoying because there's a lot to know about CSS positioning. It gets quite confusing at times for me, at least. But I'll show you how that works very shortly. Maybe in the next video when we dive into properly CSS. So a few last things I want to say before we wrap up this live stream for today is that if we get rid of that, I promised you I'd do a bit of JavaScript in this one. So in order for me to do a bit of JavaScript, let's get rid of all this. Let's make a button. Okay, so a few ways you can do this. First of all, you can do button type equals button, on click equals, and then put whatever you want it to say. So that'll create a button there. And then whatever you want to say, so you can do click me. It appears there. Okay? Or you can do input type equals button, on click equals, and then value equals click me, and then input You can see it still creates a button, almost identical. Well, it is identical, except for when it comes to some CSS styling, might be slightly different. And then you can still click them. But at the moment, nothing's happening, and that's because this on click is blank. So in this tutorial, I'm just going to stick with doing an input type button. And to do an on click, we need to do some JavaScript. So if we got a JavaScript example from W3 Schools, and we click run, you can see this is changing the color. Click me, and it changes the color to red. That's something you can do, but what I want to do is show you the browser prompt, command, confirm, alert, all those sort of things. So to do this, we can simply type alert, brackets, and we need to do a single colon here, because you can see we're already in double colons, so we need to do single colon. Sorry, not colon. We're already in double quotes, so we need to do a single quote. So single quote, and we'll do hello. This is an alert. Semicolon. Don't forget your semicolons. So click run, and click on it, and you see we have this pop-up. Now this is a built-in browser alert, and it says www.w3schools.com says, hello, this is an alert, and you see that's a text that we've put within there. And then we have that one button, okay, we can tap that, and it disappears. Next, confirm. Hello, this is a confirmation. We click run, and here, and you see we have a similar thing, w3schools.com says, and this www.w3schools.com says that'll be your domain or whatever website it's on. And then we do hello, this is confirmation, same text from there, and this time we have two buttons, okay, and cancel. And finally, we have a prompt, which will ask for text. Hello, this is a prompt, again, URL, hello, this is prompt, text from there, and we have a text input, or we can type whatever we want. And we can click OK, or we can type whatever we want and click cancel. So let's have a look at that, and we'll simply search. We'll do JavaScript or JS, and we'll do alert first. We'll do alert, and you can see window alert. So we also have window alert here, yeah. So if we click and we have confirm, and we have prompt. So we go to prompt because that. So what you can do is you can do function by function. So you sorry, as well as doing the this is a prompt, you can copy that. You can do my function, and this will call a JavaScript function instead. We don't forget semicolons, and then, like I said, script. And script is what JavaScript goes in. So like with CSS we have style, with JavaScript we have script, and we do function, my function. And here we don't need to put a semicolon, we should bracket, and then we do curly bracket, curly bracket. Then we're in here, we can do, and you can see, still does the same thing. But what we can do is we can do var person equals prompt and then whatever. So if we did, so you can do variables. So a variable will be, I'll talk about more in this sort of complex JavaScript thing, but what I want to show you is you can, if we click try it and we enter in the name, so you can see that's setting a default value there. We go Harry Potter, and it says hello Harry Potter, how are you today? So we'll echo the name, and so that's basically what I wanted to show you we can do, and I can get more into that with PHP as well. We could store it into like a database, PHP MySQL, which is something we can do in the future. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to cover in this sort of live stream. Apologise, there's a technical issues at the start, any technical glitches. If you have any questions at all with coding, use w3schools.com. Amazing free website, and if you would like to host a website on there, again you can get one for free with their new Spaces thing. Big website, and then you can use spaces and create a free website where you have basically access to put all these files in, like all code here. You can put that all in, and you can have your own website live, which is great for getting started. But if you have any other technical issues, I go to stackoverflow.com, which is basically like a forum for. Let me log into my account. It's basically a forum for your. I won't log in just yet. It's a forum basically for your coding, so we can ask questions on here. So you can click Ask Question, and you can ask any questions you want, and then people answer them. So like here, questions all the time being asked, and people are sharing their code, and then people are giving answers, which you can use. So if you need any help, I use wfreeschools.com because that's amazing. It's free, and Stack Overflow, which is also free, and just ask questions on there, and there's always experts that answer. So I definitely recommend using wfreeschools.com and Stack Overflow. Create your account. It's nice and simple. So yeah, as always, these are my own views only, my own explicit views. And yeah, okay, so thanks for tuning in, and please subscribe to my channel for more coding how-tos. So next tutorial we'll be doing CSS, JavaScript, more diving into that good stuff. And eventually you'll be able to have an amazing website that is styled beautifully and looks amazing and a real world application. So make sure to subscribe to my channel and take a look at the coding tutorial series, which will have much more videos coming on very soon. Thanks, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and see you in the next one.